This is a Trutone Roundie, and I rented this out for a photo shoot, and they wanted gutted just the way you see it right now. I guess the idea was the subject was going to stick his head through the TV for the photo shoot. So what I had to do was disconnect the tuner, and then I ended up just siliconing the knobs on temporarily, so I got to break all of those loose and clean them up. Also had to desolder the tuner. Here's the chassis, and this right here is what all those knobs go on, and there was no way I was going to desolder this. This is just your standard CTC 15 clone. Here's the wires for the tuner right there. And this, I never restored this set. It kind of worked, but not real well. It was like it was low B plus. So I went through and checked all the capacitors yesterday, and the doubler, this one was open, and you can see that this has been, at some point this was like replaced or whatever, and they just put the cardboard cap over the new one and taped it on. So I just stuck another one across the bottom for testing purposes. We'll see how it works. And this set uses a 21 FBP 22, and the CRT that I had put in it was a 21 FJP 22, which has the safety glass on it. You can see it here. See, it's starting to delaminate there for about the first inch or so. The problem is with the FJP and the set's safety glass, it's too thick, so the CRT sticks back too far. So I dug this out of the garage today, and this is a CRT that somebody gave me. They tried to get the safety glass off with a hammer and chisel. So what I'm going to do is let this warm up in the sun for a while, and then I'm going to take a heat gun to it. This is going to be a fairly high risk operation because this is in this safety, I mean, even though it's such a small area, the glue is still in pretty good shape, and I'm going to be concentrating a lot of heat just in one area, which, as we've seen in some other videos, concentrating heat on a CRT can cause it to explode. I got the riot gear out, so I'm going to put all the safety gear on, and then I'm going to try and get that off with a heat gun. So let's see what else. I guess what I'll do while that CRT is kind of warming up a little bit in the sun, I want to get it as hot as I can so the temperature is not radically different. I can pull the tuner out and hook it back up. And get those knobs cleaned up. This is a pretty neat and finding a Trutone out in California is very, very rare. Here's all the CRT accessories, the yoke, Convergence, degaussing. Yeah, this is like a CTC 15 with factory degaussing. And yoke convergence and the mounting bands. I got the tuner all resoldered. It's this ball chain drive, which comes around here to the channel display, is pretty cool. The UHF, it's got the hole there, so when you're on UHF, that light goes through this one and lights up the second one. And I know it's gimmicky, but it's cool. Okay, here we go. I'm going to just record the whole thing because there's a higher chance of this one imploding because the heat is going to be so uneven. So I'm going to just do my best here to shield myself and hope for the best. It's pretty hot. Just cracked. Man, that sucker is on there. That thing does not want to come off at all. Cleanliness is super important before you put this back together, both this and the safety glass, because once you put it together you're not going to get anything out of there unless you take it all back apart. So a little lacquer thinner and a rag makes it look like brand new. Okay, I think I got it all back together. Got all the knobs cleaned up and put back on. Tuners back in. The focus pin is loose on this CRT. Got to be very careful with that. Also, this is definitely a rebuild. You can see the weld right there. The gouging's hooked up, speakers hooked up. The vacation switch is back. High voltage is hooked up. Pull this out of the way. Something like that. Don't want that near there. It's kind of a stupid design. Convergence is back. Yoke is hooked up. Let's power it up and see what happens. Hey, that's promising. I should have cleaned the tuner and all the controls while I had it out. Something is arcing and oh, you know what? I bet it's not the chassis. It's not making. Because the chassis is supposed to ground to that strip down there. So is this not? This is. It's got to be touching that, doesn't it? God, you could just hear it arcing everywhere. And it's got this weird squiggly line thing to it. Let me try running a redundant ground. You know what, there's something missing here. There's supposed to be a big long spring that goes across this that grounds to the aquadag. You can see if you can hear it. There's a big long spring missing here. And I hear something arcing over here too. Let's take a look in here and see. Oh, that's nice. That's real nice. Yeah, that should help. You can still hear it arcing all the way around because that spring is missing. That actually helped. Well, I think it did. That's weird. When I turn the brightness down, it blooms. Hey, the color demodulation actually kind of is working a little bit. Man, that looks... I gotta get that spring. Here's the spring. I found it. It popped off and it straps across the back of this. Okay, here it is. These little things really matter. Okay, notice this putting the spring back on straightened the lines out. So, let's see. Oh wow, look at that. There are lots of major issues here. The color demodulation is horrible. The way I mean, you're looking at it, and how it blooms when I adjust the brightness. And that's something wrong there. But at least it is working. Blue, yellow, but green and yellow are just kind of all mashed together with. So there's definitely some issues here, and could be an alignment issue. You know what? I'm being stupid. It's probably the convergence and purity. I haven't set it up. Look at how the lines. Look at how it's all. I could do a convergence and purity on it tonight, I guess, when it gets a little darker, but the vertical deflection's also not working right. Probably a bad cap or a bad tube. But overall, I'm satisfied, I guess. It's better than it was when I pulled it out. It was not working at all. I did a quick convergence and purity, and here's what I got. Definitely much better. It's with these things should really look good. They shouldn't have a crappy half-assed picture. They should really have a good picture with good colors, a good watchable picture with all the good colors, all nice and bright. So anyway, I think this is pretty much ready to put into storage for now. It looks a little bit soft to me, like the focus is not quite, but it's kind of hard to adjust it out here in the sun. And I got the brightness just cranked up way too high too. And all the controls need to be cleaned. But overall, pretty good. I wonder if this stands for Wells Gardner. (2DC 1667A).
Obamacare, tell me about it. Hi, Alex. A couple of things. You're going to have me like maybe 20 minutes. First of all, I want to thank you. Much respect and love to you and your family. Through Mike Adams, I learned all of a sudden I have diabetes, you know. So I go to the doctor, and he gives me just a few, like 4 or 5 medicine. I've never taken medicine in my life, anything like that, you know, never been sick. So, okay, now I know I have diabetes. It's like 457 on when they tested me. Or normally to decide what treatments you can get even more. And to make 35 to 40 million people buy insurance, which drives up the overall price. But yeah, if you're on straight up welfare, short term, this is going to be a good deal for you. They've already gotten rid of your job, shut down the country. What else do you have?